Hello and welcome to Internet Capital Markets, the weekly show where we explore how financial systems are being rebuilt on the web. Each week, we sit down with the builders, investors, institutional leaders shaping this transformation. From tokenized assets to decentralized finance, stablecoins, RWA, gaming, and everything in between. Today's show is brought to you by copybetter.com, the smart aggregator for prediction markets. Copy, bet, win. Before we introduce our guest today, I'd like to welcome my co-founder and co-host Jonas to the show, as we are builders ourselves. Hey, Jonas.
Hi, and welcome everyone. Oh, I think we have like a little echo, at least on my side today. So yeah, now it's gone. Okay, super. GM.
Today's guest is a special one. Actually, we've met him in London on the occasion that we participated actually in Techstars. So he's a mentor for Techstars, but not only for Techstars, also for She Codes, for example, and multiple other organizations. And yeah, we had pizza and beer over some evenings and dived deep into business cases. But Federico is actually a veteran in game development and a product leader with deep experience in shipping large-scale, commercially successful titles, even crushing Candy Crush and similar. And today, Federico focuses on game positioning and player psychology, advising founders and gaming companies how to design experiences that players actually want, and now applying this also to GameFi. We will come to that, what that actually means. So the titles that he led and co-engineered with were, for example, Fallout Shelter and others, and produced hundreds of millions in revenue. So welcome to the show, Federico.
Thank you guys for having me.
And let's kick it off. So for everyone who doesn't know you yet, could you introduce yourself from your perspective and tell us how you got into GameFi and also, in fact, what actually is GameFi?
Yeah, sure. Well, as you mentioned, my background is in video games. Since I was a child, I used to play video games and also developing video games. When I was 6 years old, my dad, I got for Christmas a Commodore 16, and instead of playing games, I started learning basic and trying to make games. My background is, as you mentioned, I worked for a big studio, Ubisoft, and when I was at Behavior Interactive, we made Fallout Shelter, and it was a success. Why positioning and why game fee? Well, first of all, because I think today distributing a game is much more difficult than making a game. If you just look at Steam, for example, the number of video game that has been published is increasing every year. And so game fee, I am passionate about finance, as you mentioned, Web3, and I think game fee, when exploded in 2021, I've seen the same positioning failure that you have in normal games. I've seen teams that they were building games, but marketing them as a financial product, which is the wrong, as we will see during this podcast, this is the wrong way. Yeah.
Yeah. And since you just also mentioned you've shipped major mobile titles, and congrats on overtaking Candy Crush, which is not easy, but you even did that in multiple markets. Now you focus on game positioning. From your experience, what determines whether a player instantly gets the game or they just test it out or completely ignore it?
Yeah, good question. I think today competition is very fierce. So player now, they used to categorize their game in their mind in just the first 7 seconds, and they do it basically based on experience. So what you promise to the player when you show your game, they don't do it using the technology that has been used to beat that game. And I think so. This is one of the main issues I'm seeing in GameFi. So we didn't explain what is GameFi, but basically GameFi are games that run on the Web3. GameFi is for game finance. And so the biggest mistake that I'm seeing is that they are trying to categorize the game in the player's mind using a business model, which is a blockchain, instead of experience. And this is basically the biggest problem.
So you would say Web3 is just more like an enabler for more technology or experience, but shouldn't be the focus of the game itself. It should be used if it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to tell player what they will do in the game. You have to focus how they will have fun in the game, not saying this game is made with a blockchain. It's like so usually Web2 games they'll be using different game engine like Unity, Unreal. It's like you go to the Web2 user and say this game has been made with Unity. They don't care. They want to see why this game is fun.
I totally agree, especially like from a user experience or like gamer experience. I considered GameFi always as a like trailblazer for like how you integrate blockchain technology without that gamers are like taking note of that. So essentially, like you did, or like GameFi in general did what all the finance industry trying to do right now, right? So to separate actually like the crypto, this this a little bit nerdy thing away, abstracting it away from the actual use case. But like then, like a few years ago, like GameFi was like quite promising technology and was quite hyped. But then after the 2022 boom and then the bust following, GameFi collapsed. Can you maybe elaborate on that? Like what happened there and why, at least like from my perspective, why don't we hear much more from GameFi anymore?
Yeah, sure. So I think this is a good question. I think at that time everyone blamed tokenomics because the token of these games, the value basically just collapsed. But I think if you look at tokenomic, I believe that this is the symptom, is not the cause. So the cause is that basically this game didn't have the right positioning. Let me explain what does it mean. If you look at the first initial game fee, and then we will actually during this podcast we will see a practical example. They all say play our game, earn money, but this is not like a game pitch. This is basically offering you a job, right? It's a job posting. If you play our game, you will earn money. So the problem is that when you position a game as an income, you just you don't attract player. You attract people that they want to extract value from the game. They don't want to have fun. And the moment that the game stop giving them money, so the moment that they don't get this paycheck anymore, they just leave. And then basically is what happened with game fee. And then later I have prepared some slide. We can see a practical example of this. But I think so. Tokenomics is true. The value of the token collapsed, but the real cause is because the game was positioned in the wrong way. If it makes sense.
Absolutely. So I totally agree here. And like when I am thinking about like GameFi, honestly, I can't tell too much about it because I'm not a gamer anymore. I was just fascinated, like how many millions of users worldwide were basically sucked into that, let's call it category or industry. So many of those GameFi projects marketed themselves or still market themselves as like play to earn. So essentially framing games as like new income opportunities, right? So earning points or like earning tokens, whatever you want to call it. And so basically like husbands could now tell their wives, hey, I'm working while playing games for good or for bad. But anyway, why is turning play into work psychologically dangerous for player adoption? What do you think here?
Yeah, I think that's the perfect job, right? I play game and I had money.
Obviously.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's psychologically dangerous because I think if you do that, you just destroy the thing that make the games work. So why I'm playing game? I'm playing game because I voluntarily decide to play this game, right? Games are fun because you just choose to play them. Why if you market it as a job, you work because you get paid. You probably hate your job, but you do your job because you get paid. So when you tell people this game is actually work because you get some money, it's kind of their brain switch mode. So they are not basically playing the game for fun. They're basically trying to play and optimize the game to get as much money as they can. And I mean, this is not me saying that. For example, if we think about the Axie game, and we will see later all the number, this game was playing most for 40% of the players. I think they were in the Philippines. And if you search online, you will see commentary from people saying, "Oh, Axie pay me a better job. I can stay home and play the game." So this is the problem, right? It's not a game. It's like a job. You're not a player, but you become an employee employee of this game. And the moment that the creator of Axie game wasn't able basically to afford to pay them, they just left. And later on, they try basically to convert their battle cry from play to earn in play and earn, but the switch in the brain was already done, so it didn't work.
Do you think there's like or would you say you could compare it like somehow to gambling then? Because like there's like this danger of like probably getting addicted.
Well, this is actually what's happening for most of the mobile game now. But I think specifically for GameFi, I think that it's just like a Ponzi scheme. So as long as people are coming and play the game, you get your money. But when basically you don't have any more people playing the game, everything collapse. And I'm specifically saying Ponzi scheme because again, if you think about Axie, uh, if you wanted to start playing the game, you needed to invest at least between $600 and $1,000, which is something that no one has. And this is actually create another mechanic in the game. So you start, later on, you started to have people that they have the asset, and basically they were renting the in-game asset to other people. So these people were playing the game with other people asset, and they needed to give them part of their revenue. This basically was something called as scholarships, and it didn't work because as I say, it's not a game anymore. It's just like a Ponzi scheme.
That's super interesting. Maybe let's look at it from like a behavioral perspective. When players are actually told they are earning rather than playing, and it becomes the job, how does that change their behavior inside the game?
I think the behavior just they stop being played and they start to becoming like workers. So if you think about a normal game, you play the game, you explore, you try new strategies. Sometimes you help other people build community in the game, and this is just because the main goal of the game is you are there for fun, and you think that sometimes sharing fun with other people is better.
Mhm.
But the moment then you tell them that you're earning, all of this stops. Now basically everyone is competing. for a finite amount of resources, which in this case is basically your income, like how much money you can get if you play this game. So they start looking for exploit to get basically the maximum amount of money.
Yeah,
And yeah,
that completely makes sense. And kind of Axie Infinity is an example for that. It's kind of the poster child of play to earn. So millions of users joined the game for like the income opportunity, and then, as a matter of fact, activity and then the token value completely collapsed. Could you walk us through this example and what it actually means when you want to build an incentive-driven game?
Yeah, if you want, I prepare some slide that we can see. So let me just.
Now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Let me just. Oh, I can see the slide. Okay, great. So, so this is Axie game. This is the game basically was one of the pioneer of GameFi. So let's see some number. The peak was in November 2021. So in November 2021, X Infinity had 2.7 million daily active users, and their token hit $165. And they think they have done around 4 billion in NFT sales. So basically, they look like the future of gaming. A lot of investors, they jump on board, they raise a lot of money. But the truth is that, as I mentioned before, if you wanted to play this game, you had to invest like between $400 and $1,000 just to start playing. So basically, they weren't actually paying to play a game. They basically, as I mentioned before, I think they were buying into an investment scheme. And so basically, these people, they were not gamers. They were basically like gig workers. And this basically means that a few years later, actually in 2022, 2023, everything collapsed. So it's just 1 year actually. The daily user, they dropped from 2.7 million to 500,000. So this is like 85% gone. They didn't play. And the value of the token went down 99% from the peak. And the developer of Axie game, basically Sky Mavis, in February, they tried to reposition the game. So they completely removed play to earn from their marketing. But that was too late because I think around 2022, they were the very first saying Axie economy required drastic action now or will its total economy collapse, which basically this is what happened. This is what happened. And basically the failure is that they try to position Axie, this is a game, has an income. And the result is that the player treated it as an income. And when the income stopped, the people stopped playing the game. So basically, this was an economy, an investment that was dressed up like a game. And the moment that the economy broke, there was nothing left. And the funny thing is that the owner of the studio, and this is a quote, he say, "Oh, sometimes the game has to flush out people. Just they are just in for the money." But the issue that you told them that this was about money. You told them that this was play to earn. So you can now say you can be surprised when they don't when the people believe you and start playing just to get money. So I think the lesson here is that the incentive works only if incentive is fun. The moment that you make this incentive financial, you're not building a game. You're just building, as I mentioned before, a job, but with nice graphics.
Yeah, no, I think I can totally agree here. I mean, I still feel like it's like difficult because like on the one hand side, you want to incentivize players or gamers, right? But on the other hand side, you also want to avoid that it becomes their real job. I think there's like on the one hand side or on the other hand side, there's like a trade-off to be made. I feel like, and maybe there's no perfect solution, or like as of now, maybe. But if you're now looking at the category itself, and when we prepared for this episode, we saw that you took the position that Web3 game actually isn't a category in itself, and the players shouldn't actually buy it. Can you maybe elaborate on that a little bit more? What you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean that Web3 is a category, but it's not a category defined by the player. It's defined by the developer that create the game. That's why I said before that you need to create the category based on the experience for the player. Web3 is a category that has been created using the infrastructure, which basically is the blockchain. If you look at player, they don't say, I want a blockchain game. They say, I want a cozy farming game. I want a combat game. They don't say I want a Web3 game, right? So the thing is that Web3 is not the right category for the player, if it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think I would agree here. So, and then maybe also in addition to my previous question, in one of your Substacks, you said that the fix of embedding blockchain capabilities inside existing player desires, like ownership, should be like included, like instead of like marketing the tech itself. Can you maybe walk us through a concrete example, like how that should work?
Yeah, so if you can show again the slide in the channel. Yeah, so basically, this is, yeah. Okay, thank you, great. So if we go back to Axis, so this is basically what actually any game fish should do. Position just for fun first, and show like the ownership, so the use of the blockchain has a benefit. Focus on the community experience and focus on the game, not like a job. And there is a clear example of this, which is Pixels. So this game is kind of Stardew Valley for Web3, but they never sell the game like a blockchain game. So how do that? They say they focus on the experience for the player, and they use blockchain, but without leading with it. They say, oh, we are a social farming game where you build your farm, complete quest, and you hang out with friends. This is their positioning, not that we are a Web3 game. So it's free to play. The blockchain is mentioned as optional, and the blockchain is mentioned just to highlight for the user the ownership, because the biggest problem for the user now is they want ownership. They don't want to invest time and money and having asset, then when the server shut down or the game doesn't go well, they just lose everything. So they did it in the right way, and the result was first month they have 1.25 million of player, and the running blockchain, the one actually that was created by Axis, that went completely down with Axis. They revitalized this blockchain, and they had like plus 700% in increase. So focus on the game first, focus on the fun first, and use blockchain as a tool. A tool for what? To enable the ownership as a secondary benefit. Silence.
I think you're mute, Jeremy.
That was a really good example. I also like that you had like an example how not to do it and how to do it. So what we would like to do now is actually switch gears a little bit and start with a quick fire and ask you one question, and you have one word each to answer. Are you ready?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's go. The most overrated buzzword in GameFi today.
Play and earn. which they try to change from play to earn, because is the same trap as play to earn.
Yeah, let's do only one word, but here it's play to earn. Agree.
Okay.
So fun or ownership? What has to
Fun.
come first?
Fun.
One thing crypto founders consistently get wrong about gamers.
They care about technology. Why
Yeah.
is not true, because game care about experience.
Okay, yeah. One Web 2 game design principle that Web 3 should copy immediately.
Onboarding. With game, they get you playing for in the first 30 seconds.
Good one.
Oh, not yeah.
One metric GameFi teams obsess over something that doesn't matter.
The total value locked. Gamer, they don't care.
The fastest way to kill a game economy.
Promise ownership and don't actually give it to the player.
Extraction economy or engagement economy? Which wins long term?
Engagement.
The most dangerous phrase in GameFi marketing positioning.
Passive income.
Fortniters keep away from Web3 gamers. What scares mainstream gamers most about Web3?
Losing money.
Okay, now one sentence. The future of GameFi, speculation or entertainment, and why?
Entertainment with embedded capabilities, which means games, they have to be fun first and then use blockchain for persistence and ownership.
That makes sense. So before we wrap up the show today, let me apologize for the technical difficulties in the beginning. And I would like to conclude the show with like one last question to you, Federico. Like, how do people find you and can learn more about you? And who should we talk to next?
Yeah, so I have a newsletter. You can find it at videogamepositioning.com to bring to Substack. And I analyze positioning failure and fixes for mainly big and small games. Next guest. I think we should try to find someone that actually is building the infrastructure of Web3 for game, and mainly someone that can actually, as I mentioned before, try to make the onboarding of player much easier. So not losing time in setting up a wallet and other stuff, just basically making the onboarding as quick as possible.
Good. If you have someone specific in mind, let us know. Thank you so much. That wraps up this week's episode of Internet Capital Markets. A huge thank you to Federico for joining us and sharing your insights today about markets inside games and walking us through two significant examples. So if you enjoyed today's discussion, make sure to subscribe, rate, and share the show. It helps us to bring more conversations with the people sharing and shaping the future of on-chain finance. This is Internet Capital Markets. Please join us next week. Until then, stay curious, stay connected, and keep building the future of finance. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.